So outside of nutrition, what else has changed?
Yeah, the one of the more recent changes that I'm having a lot of fun with is something this guy has. It's still up in the air what the name should be. It seems to be becoming durability, but has been called stamina and resilience. These are terms that are being used by people who, especially sports scientists, who've been talking about this. And I really like the idea. This is something I wouldn't say I came up with the idea, but this was something I started thinking about. I think it was 2019. I was watching the Tour de France, and I forgot who it was right now. Someplace in my notes I wrote it down. But there was a break of 5 athletes in a very, very long stage. And they held 300 watts basically for close to 5 hours. And finally, they all dropped away except one guy. And one guy was left to finish. He won the stage. He averaged 300 watts. But you have to realize that those guys, their FTP is somewhere around 400 watts. So he was riding at 75% of FTP, which doesn't sound all that hard. Any one of us here could go out and ride for some period of time at 75% of FTP, but do it for 5 hours. That's a little bit different situation. Now we're talking about a guy who's built great durability. He can hang in there for a very, very long time, which most athletes can't, as evidenced by the fact that 4 of the 5 riders did not make it to the finish line. He got there all by himself because he had such great durability. This can be trained. It's highly trainable. And there are various ways of training and various ways of checking it, but it's a good thing to do, I think, in terms of working on especially long events that the athlete has. And long events mean more than an hour long.
I think most of us understand the theory of specificity in that, if I want to get good at a 10-mile time trial, I can go away and I can do a bunch of threshold style efforts. But it feels more like opaque, the idea of training durability. How do you think about training durability? What goes into it?
Yeah. Well, the starting place is to decide how good the athlete's durability is. Some athletes just seem to have really good durability and others don't. I think that's the key to this rider I'm talking about is he's been around the sport for so many years by that point in 2019 that he had built great durability, and that showed up when it came race day for that particular event. Otherwise, he was not a contender. He was never somebody who contended for the podium on any given stage because he was a long race guy is what he was.
So how would you test durability? Like a 20-minute test, a 4-hour ride, and then see what your 20-minute power is at the end of a 4-hour ride? Or would you use kilojoules, or is there a different test protocol?
Yeah, that's the basic idea is good. I think 4 hours is a little bit on the long side for most athletes. They don't really need to do 4 hours unless they're training for something like what the pros are doing. But let's say we do this. The athlete rides for an hour in zone 2. There's a warm up. And then we go to a certain location, certain piece of the course that mimics what we need to be doing for the athlete. For example, it could be a hilly course, it could be a flat course, it could be a climb. And the athlete does a 20-minute effort at a given heart rate. Let's say it's zone 4, just below FTP, for 20 minutes. Then goes out and rides for another half hour, comes back to the very same course again. The 20-minute course rides another 20 minutes, exactly the same heart rate. Then what we do is we compare the power output for those two episodes, those two intervals. And what we'd like to see is that the second one is no more than 3% lower than the first one. If it's more than 3%, the catches my attention. The athlete's durability is not very good. But if they can keep it within 3%, then we've got pretty good durability already. Most athletes, when I have them do this, they don't have very good durability. They drop off quite a bit in the second effort because now we've built some fatigue. They've been riding for a couple of hours, and now it's showing up on this second effort. So that becomes one way of doing this. I'll do that early in the build period to see where they are durability wise. And then we'll do it periodically, like every third or fourth week, we'll do it again to see how they're coming along.
And how do you fix poor durability?
How do you fix it? You do long intervals training, especially zones 4, just below threshold, long efforts, By long, I mean like 20 minutes. So we're going to do 20-minute intervals with 5-minute recoveries. And we're going to do an X number of these depending on the athlete. And that becomes our durability training. And then again, we have a long warm-up, maybe an hour before we start those intervals. Then we do the intervals and then a long cool down. And we see how the intervals went. That's another indicator of what our athletes' durability is like, is if those 20-minute efforts remain fairly constant all the way through, or if they begin to taper. So we're looking for that sort of thing too. So it's another way of getting feedback within a workout rather than doing a test.
Have you looked much at the heat training? It seems to be quite the in vogue thing with the Tour de France riders, World Tour highest level at the moment.
Yeah, heat training is really something quite beneficial. I talk about this in the book, in this new book, that it's one of those things you can do to build higher performance, especially VO2 max as an element of performance. In the past, we thought heat training was just something to get you ready for a hot day's race, and which is true, it will. That's one of the things you're doing. But you're also building some benefits there that have to do with VO2 max. But here's the clincher. What you've got to do in one of these long rides when you're trying to build VO2 max is you've got to stay hydrated. If you don't stay hydrated, you accomplish just the opposite. You actually train your body not to be very good at VO2 max, because the less when you're sweating and you sweat out a lot of fluids in your body, what happens is you're winding up getting rid of a lot of blood at the same time. That's where a lot of that fluid is coming from. Is from your blood. As the amount of blood in your body decreases, your VO2 max also goes down. So what we need to do is stay hydrated so that your blood stays fairly constant in terms of how much fluid you have running through the veins. And that's going to help to boost your VO2 max just by doing that. So heat training can be very effective for the athlete, but it's more than just drinking. It's also being the experience of challenging the body to deal with the stressor, which is something outside of what most athletes are trying to do. Most athletes try to avoid the heat. It's actually a very good thing for you, not year-round, but at certain times of the year, it's highly beneficial.
Yeah, and I actually read a paper on this last week to echo your point on hydration. But interestingly, it said it's hydrating with room temperature fluid. That if you hydrate with cold fluid, it blunts the heat adaptation response.
Good. Very good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought in terms of that, but you're right. It would do exactly that, because that's one of the things the athletes do when they're trying to cool off is drink like a slushie. Something that's really cold to cool the inside. Good point.
Roadman, whether you're a weekend warrior or a World Tour rider, the right tools can make all the difference. Enter 4i's Precision 3 Plus Powermeter, the latest innovation from 4i, designed to help you reach peak performance. The Precision 3 Plus Powermeter is a compact yet powerful unit. It weighs just 9 grams and it's packed with features that set it apart, including integration with Apple's Find My network, giving you the peace of mind by letting you track your power meter wherever it is. Plus, you've got up to 800 hours of battery life. We all know that accuracy is key, and 4i's delivers a groundbreaking plus or minus 1% accuracy thanks to their unique 3D strain gauge technology. For those seeking even more data, the Precision 3 Plus Pro Power Meter offers dual-sided power meter metrics, giving you detailed insights into pedaling efficiency, torque effectiveness, and left-right balance. 4i's offers versatile product options to suit your needs. Choose from ride-ready power meters with pre-installed units on Shimano cranks, or up for factory-installed power meter, where you send in your crankset for a custom installation. Ready to elevate your cycling game? Trust 4i's Precision 3 Plus Power Meter. Precision, performance, and peace of mind all in one. Learn more by visiting 4iiii.com. That's 4iiii.com. I'm going to put that in the description down below.